your hands together for Shawn Carney.
Well, greetings from an abortion-free Texas. And greetings from a post-Roe United States of America. On June 23rd, America was in a very shameful category, with very few other countries allowing abortion up to birth, including the day of birth, and even allowing infanticide, which is exactly what Roe v. Wade allowed. It put us in the category with only North Korea, China, and Vietnam. And we, the United States, we who have exported abortion along with Marie Stopes to Africa, to Latin America, around the world, we who have had the most extreme abortion law in the world, were able to overturn that law. And if we can do it, you can do it. Now, 40 Days for Life was started in Texas and is now spread to 65 different countries, becoming the largest pro-life organization in the world. And it was brought to your great country in 2010. And when it was brought here in 2010, the Guardian interviewed me. And afterwards, the story I thought was fair enough. And they said that that 40 Days for Life was birthed, great word, birthed in the Wild West hills of Texas. And I think they meant Texas to be some kind of a curse word. But it was brought here not as an American thing, but to serve British babies who are being aborted by British abortion doctors, supported by British politicians. Because abortion knows no borders. It will go into any nation and abort any baby for any reason. It is allowed to do so. And it will be a great day, not just for the unborn and women in the United Kingdom. It will be a great day for freedom around the world when your law and your government drags you out of 1967 science and into 2022, where we don't have a schizophrenic view of the unborn, where we don't have these beautiful stories where we celebrate life like the baby we just saw. We don't do surgeries on unborn children and brag about it, or prevent a pregnant woman from getting on a roller coaster, or denying a pregnant woman 10 whiskeys at a bar. And then at the same time, allow this barbaric atrocity to happen to the same unborn child. We can't have it both ways. And so our Supreme Court corrected their error. Our Supreme Court has dehumanized a segment of our population twice. Dred Scott dehumanized blacks in America so they could be property, and Roe v. Wade dehumanized the unborn so that we could annihilate them. And they corrected their error. Because women didn't vote on abortion, men didn't vote on abortion. It is a men's issue in the worst way. It was an all-male Supreme Court that gave America abortion. Most of the abortion facilities in America are owned by men. Most abortion doctors are men. And no one benefits more from an abortion in the UK or in the United States or anywhere else than bad, irresponsible men. They are the winners. There's nothing in your country that says more that it's a man's world than a Marie Stopes with an open sign in the window. In the United States, we've had a debate about something that really shouldn't be very controversial or very debatable. And that is a profound thing that perhaps you have here also in the UK. It is called a heartbeat. And as heartbeat bills in America spread around our country, the pro-abortion folks were put in the position to have to advocate to deny heartbeats to certain people. And so we came up with a very profound philosophy that I think many of our ancestors agree with. Heartbeats are good. We spend a lot of money taking care of our hearts. We shouldn't have to justify a beating heart. And this is why we have to get out of the bizarre, anti-science, anti-intellectual mentality that says we can dehumanize another person so we can brutally dismember him or her and somehow convince those involved that it's freedom. It is the definition of insanity. No one grows up wanting an abortion, and no one grows up wanting to work in the abortion industry. And we have seen this firsthand with now 40 Days for Life has helped 242 abortion facility workers who have had a change of heart and left their job. And many of those workers, some of y'all know Abby Johnson, who I brought to the UK in 2014. And Abby witnessed her product for the first time, and that is when she came right next door into our office. She walked into my office, and if you've seen the movie Unplanned, it is accurate. The good, the bad, and the ugly of Unplanned is all true. And Abby's story resonates with people because she was the 2008 Planned Parenthood Employee of the Year. But also because despite her best effort, she could not convince herself that she was doing a good. And no one in the abortion industry can. That's why after more than 50 years, all of you are piling into Parliament Square, despite this being one of the most common surgeries in your country and the most common surgery in my country. We have not gotten over abortion because no one asked these politicians in Parliament, no one asked any kind of media representative what their personal or political or religious view is of hip replacement surgery, or having a wisdom teeth removed, or an ingrown toenail. What is wrong with abortion? It requires constant justification, and it should, because another body is the problem. Somebody else is there, and we have to get rid of them. And that requires stopping a heartbeat. It is the only surgery you're not supposed to survive. And that is why basic common sense goes so far in too often a world gone mad, as G.K. Chesterton said. And that is why we focus on hearts and minds. That is why we focus on the love of our Lord and His mercy. And why, yes, we are there to help women as they go in for an abortion, but we are there after the abortion as well if they choose to go through with it. And the abortion industry is done with them. That's why so many women in the UK have chosen life. That's why we've seen workers convert here. And that is why, over time, if you defend your freedom, you will see the end of abortion in the United Kingdom. And we want These counter-protesters, we want freedom of speech. Many in Parliament do not want freedom of speech in this great country where you spread freedom around the world. And the United States benefited, although we had a hiccup in 1776. Nevertheless, you have to hold on to your freedom of speech or Europe is finished. They are not only trying to ban 40 Days for Life through these ridiculous buffer zones that have been rejected by our Supreme Court unanimously 9 times. Ginsburg said that they were simply un-American. But the Scottish Parliament is trying to ban 40 Days for Life with zones of silence. So you can go out there and you can talk about how fish and chips is better for you than a hot dog. But if you go out there and you are pro-life and that is your opinion, you are simply not allowed to be in public. This is what the ridiculous people in the Scottish Parliament are proposing. In fact, they've just spent £70,000 investigating 40 Days for Life, which we could have saved the money. They could have just come to Texas, toured our office, interviewed us. You don't have to spend money to investigate us. We're standing out in public. In Liverpool, they arrested Rosa, a 76-year-old grandmother, and she was praying the rosary. Now, I know that sounds scary to all of y'all here today. A 76-year-old grandmother. Have you ever seen Halloween with Michael Myers? It's like the same thing, very scary. And we won that case. And we won the case in Nottingham, where the city attorney says, no, judge, we weren't targeting them because they're pro-life. And the judge says, well, madam, which it's great that y'all say that. Madam, it sure appears that way. And he sided with us. So yes, we will defend our rights in the UK. We will defend our rights in Scotland. We will sue if we have to sue, because the United States and the UK have to stand for freedom of speech. If Scotland... We've had 40 Days for Life around the world, and it has been easier to do 40 Days for Life in China, in Hong Kong, where it's literally illegal to protest the government. The government does all the abortions, but we found a way where we could do it. And yet it's harder in Scotland. So if Scotland wants to be North Korea or China, it is up to them. But we need to continue to go out in the UK. We need to continue to go out in Scotland. We need to pray. We need to fast. And we need to bring basic decency and common sense into our great countries. And when we do that, the world will follow. I'll close with a very simple story about Harvard University in 1982. Harvard is in another foreign country called Massachusetts. And the speaker that year was supposed to address America's wealth and how America had a moral obligation to third world countries because they were a wealthy nation, and the speaker did that. But at the end of the talk, the speaker pivoted and said that they didn't believe that the United States was a wealthy nation. They believed that America was indeed a poor nation because it is a poverty that a child must die so you may live as you wish. And that became one of Mother Teresa's many famous quotes. And she went on to call America to repent for the sin of abortion. And she said that if America gets back to her roots, then she will end abortion, and when America ends abortion, the world will follow. And Mother Teresa that day was not cast to hell as judgmental or self-righteous or a bigot. She was given the longest standing ovation in the history of Harvard commencement addresses, 10 solid minutes, because she lived the truth in joy. She attracted people by her joy. And life is good. Heartbeats are good. That is why we have so much joy, and that is ultimately why we are seeing the beginning of the end of abortion in America. And I do believe that America will be abortion-free. Texas is the size of your country, and it is now abortion-free. Abortion does not survive on science or reason or logic or joy. It survives on fear. Fear and despair. And that is exactly what we can overcome with truth, with science, with reason, and ultimately with love. And we will do it by using our rights that so many have gone before us in your country and in my country and died so that we could have those rights. And we will use them, and we will use them to defend our most vulnerable citizens. And when we do that, we will have an abortion-free United Kingdom, and the world will follow. God bless you.